let's get started. So, welcome to the Women's March on Walla Walla. All right, we march again. This is the first anniversary. Well, actually tomorrow, but this is the weekend of women. So, thank you for coming out. It's another great turnout this year. We march today to celebrate the successes of the last year, and we march today to re-energize our commitment to continue to fight the challenges we still face. We are here to celebrate and support women, women's rights, and our at-risk friends and neighbors, to give voice to our rights, our dignity, and to our justice. We march today unified to make a positive impact in our community and our world and our country. We march in solidarity with all of the women's marches this weekend, including tomorrow in Las Vegas. I want to thank all of our volunteers, and I especially want to thank my fellow organizers, Judy, Nancy, and Patrice.
We've had quite a year. Since the record-breaking Women's March 1 year ago, we all know that things have been rough. On the national scene, many of the policies that have been enacted have borne out the concerns we marched about. However, the energy that emerged from last year's march brought about some very real and very positive results. When we stand together, great things can happen. We need to remember this as we move forward into 2018. So remember, between November of 2016 and December of 2017, 25,180 women contacted Emily's List's Run to Win recruitment and training programs. And in Alabama, women voters, especially women of color, came out in record numbers to elect Doug Jones over Roy Moore. Our first speaker this morning is Harvey. Katie is 17 years old and a junior at Walla Walla High School. She co-founded the Social Justice Club Girls League and also participates in Knowledge Bowl, Future Problem Solvers, and Key Club. After high school, she plans to study politics and gender studies in college and wants to do nonprofit activism work.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Marta Reyes. Voy a interpretar los discursos importantes de esta gente en nuestro idioma. Si me escucha, si me oye, diga hola. Hola. Perfecto.
What can you possibly do about it is the most common response I hear when I detail accounts of sexism or bigotry to my peers. For a while, I felt the same way. Growing up, I was a shy kid. I still am. It was hard for me to imagine that my voice, timid and shaking, could be influential on my community. But the reality is, as a young person, my voice is my most powerful tool.
¿Qué puedes hacer al respecto? Es la respuesta más común que escucho cuando les cuento a mis compañeros sobre casos de sexismo o intolerancia. Por un tiempo me sentí igual. De pequeña era una niña tímida. Todavía lo soy. Era difícil para mí imaginar que mi voz, cohibida y temblorosa, podría ser influente en mi comunidad. Pero la realidad es que como joven, mi voz es mi herramienta más poderosa.
It can be disheartening for me to feel as though I can't make a tangible change in the social issues I care so deeply about. I can't write any progressive legislation. I can't even vote on it. However, that doesn't stop me or anyone from creating the change I wish to see. Learning to speak up for what I believe in has been the most difficult and most rewarding thing I have come to do.
Puede ser desalentador para mí sentirme como que no puedo hacer un cambio tangible en los problemas sociales que me preocupan tanto. No puedo redactar una ley progresiva, ni siquiera votar al respecto. Sin embargo, eso no me detiene, ni a mí ni a nadie, para crear el cambio que deseo ver. Aprender a defender en lo que creo ha sido una de las cosas más difíciles y gratificantes que he logrado.
Maybe I will never change the minds of the people I speak up against, the teachers who make snide sexist remarks in class, the peers who use slurs around me. But by voicing disapproval of those actions, we can create a safer environment for all the people who are too afraid to speak up, like I once was. The change may feel slow, but it is happening. We see these changes in Hollywood through the woman who came forward with their accounts of sexual assault. We see these changes in our community, with so many of us who gathered last weekend at the Martin Luther King Jr. March and at the Women's March today, committing themselves to social justice. These voices are powerful.
Quizás nunca cambie la ideología de las personas contra las que lucho, los maestros que hacen comentarios sexistas y sarcásticos en clase, los compañeros que dicen insultos a mi alrededor. Pero al expresar desaprobación de esas acciones, podemos crear un ambiente más seguro para todas las personas a nuestro alrededor que son demasiado tímidas para hablar, como yo solía ser. Puede que el cambio se sienta lento, pero está sucediendo. Vemos estos cambios en Hollywood por medio de las mujeres que dieron un paso al frente con sus relatos de ataques sexuales. Vemos estos cambios en nuestra comunidad, con tantos de nosotros que nos reunimos el fin de semana pasado en la marcha de Martin Luther King Jr. y en la marcha de mujeres hoy, comprometiéndonos a nosotros mismos con la justicia social. Estas voces son poderosas.
I read an essay by Audre Lorde this year that further developed my views on this matter. In the transformation of silence to language and action, Lorde says, "You're never really a whole person if you remain silent, because there's always that one little piece inside you that wants to be spoken out, and if you keep ignoring it, it gets madder and madder and hotter and hotter, and if you don't speak it out, one day it will just up and punch you in the mouth from the inside."
Leí un ensayo de Audre Lorde este año que amplió aún más mi manera de pensar en este asunto, titulado La transformación del silencio en lenguaje y acción. Lorde dice, nunca eres verdaderamente una persona entera si guardas silencio, porque siempre está ese pedacito dentro de ti que quiere ser expresado. Y si sigues ignorándolo, se vuelve cada vez más y más furioso y candente. Y si nunca lo expresas, un día te da un puñetazo en la boca desde adentro.
Today, I would like to thank all of the women who have spoken up to create a better world for us. There is so much work to be done, and events like the Women's March that help to start a narrative about the important social justice issues in our communities are imperative in seeking justice for all people. Thank you.
Hoy quisiera agradecer a todas las mujeres que se han expresado en voz alta para crear un mundo mejor para nosotras. Hay tanto por hacer y los eventos como la Marcha de las Mujeres que ayudan a iniciar una narrativa sobre las cuestiones importantes de justicia social en nuestras comunidades son imperativos en la búsqueda de la justicia para todas las personas. Gracias.
Thank you, Katie. So, remember, in New Jersey, Sheila Oliver became the first woman of color to be elected to the office of Lieutenant Governor. And remember, in Virginia, 15 Republican seats were flipped, 11 of them by women candidates endorsed and trained by Emily's List. And one of those seats was won by Danica Rowan, a transgender woman who defeated a longtime incumbent who had championed a bathroom bill earlier that year. Our next speaker is Tylene Carnell. Tylene has lived in Ellensburg for 16 years and has spent 14 years working in the mental health field. She graduated in 2007 from Central Washington University with a degree in sociology. She currently serves on the boards of the Homeless and Housing Network of Kittitas County, Central Washington Justice for Our Neighbors, and Kittitas County Health Network. Please welcome Tylene.
Thank you. It is an honor and a privilege to share this space with you today. This, the second anniversary of the greatest collective of women's voices, not just heard, but also seen, not only in our state, but also around the world. Our work at Pride Foundation is motivated by the fundamental belief that the humanity of every single person deserves to be recognized, protected, and valued. A fundamental belief that brings us all here today.
Muchas gracias. Es un honor y un privilegio compartir este espacio con ustedes hoy. Este es el segundo aniversario de la reunión más grande de voces de mujeres, no solo escuchadas, sino vistas, no solo en nuestro estado, sino alrededor del mundo. Nuestro trabajo en la Fundación Pride es motivado por la creencia fundamental de que la humanidad de cada persona individual merece ser reconocida, protegida y valorada. Una creencia fundamental que nos reúne a todos aquí hoy.
As a transgender woman living in Ellensburg, I had not really felt the need to be looking over my shoulder for a very long time, until post-election last year when that feeling returned. A sentiment I heard shared by many throughout last year, as LGBTQ people faced many challenges in 2017. They were both local and they were widespread.
Como mujer transexual viviendo en Ellensburg, no había sentido la necesidad de andarme cuidando la espalda por mucho tiempo, hasta después de las elecciones del año pasado, cuando volví a sentir ese sentimiento. Un sentimiento que escuché expresar a muchos durante el año pasado. Las personas homosexuales, bisexuales y transexuales enfrentaron muchos retos en el 2017. Estos fueron tantos locales como generalizados.
Attacks on our community, together with women's reproductive rights, targeting middle and high school kids in Kennewick and in Prosser. In Washington, Alaska, and Montana, attempts in each state to target and discriminate against transgender and gender diverse people under the guise of safety for women and girls.
Nos atacaron como comunidad, junto con los derechos de reproducción de la mujer, seleccionando como objetivo las chicas de educación media y secundaria en Kennewick y en Prosser. En Washington, Alaska y Montana hubo intentos en cada estado para atacar y discriminar a las personas transexuales y de géneros diversos con el pretexto de la seguridad de las mujeres y niñas.
Our transgender service members singled out as a burden, as too costly, and a threat to cohesiveness and to our national security. At least 28 transgender people fatally shot or killed by other violent means in our country. Almost all of them were women of color. The Supreme Court heard arguments to determine whether businesses have a constitutional right to discriminate against LGBTQ people under the guise of religious freedom.
No!
Los miembros transexuales de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas fueron señalados como una carga, como demasiado costosos y como una amenaza a la unión y a nuestra seguridad nacional. Por lo menos 28 personas transexuales fueron asesinadas con armas de fuego o por otros medios de violencia en nuestro país. La mayoría de ellas, mujeres que no eran de la raza blanca. El Tribunal Supremo escuchó argumentos para determinar si los comercios tienen el derecho constitucional de discriminar contra las personas homosexuales, bisexuales y transexuales bajo la máscara de la libertad de religión.
But we also saw successes in 2017. Here in our state, through the collective efforts of Washington Won't Discriminate and Transform Washington, and the many local Washington Safe Alliance chapters, efforts to write transgender discrimination into our state law failed for the second year in a row. This in itself is cause for celebration.
Sin embargo, también vimos éxitos en el 2017. Aquí en nuestro estado, por medio de los esfuerzos colectivos de Washington No Discriminará y Transforma Washington, y de muchas oficinas locales de Washington Safe Alliance, los intentos para incluir discriminación contra las personas transexuales en nuestra ley estatal fracasaron por segunda vez 2 años seguidos. Esto en sí es causa de celebración, pero sabemos que esto no es el final.
But we know this is not the end. The threats that emerged a year ago are still ever present. But like last year, we are determined to be there for one another, to resist any attempts to take away our rights and devalue our lives. Our collective resistance resulted in preserving our hard-fought gains.
Las amenazas que surgieron hace un año están todavía presentes, pero al igual que el año pasado, tenemos determinación para apoyarnos los unos a los otros, para resistir cualquier intento de quitarnos nuestros derechos y devaluar nuestra vida. Nuestra resistencia colectiva logró conservar las ganancias de nuestras batallas.
Transgender service members may again serve openly, and they can no longer be discharged or otherwise separated from our military solely for being transgender. We saw numerous out and open people elected to public office across our country, including at least seven transgender people.
Los miembros transexuales de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas pueden servir abiertamente de nuevo y ya no se les puede dar de baja, ni ser separados de ninguna otra manera de las Fuerzas Armadas solo por ser transexuales. Vimos como numerosas personas que viven su autenticidad abiertamente fueron elegidas para cargos públicos en todo nuestro país, incluidas por lo menos 7 personas transexuales.
2017 seemed almost overwhelming at times. Our shared humanity challenged almost daily. And we know in 2018 these challenges will continue. There is a lot of work ahead of us, ahead of all of us. But the shift that began this time last year is continuing into this new year.
El 2017 pareció abrumador en momentos. Nuestra humanidad colectiva fue desafiada casi a diario. Y sabemos que en el 2018 estos desafíos continuarán. Hay mucho trabajo por adelante para todos nosotros. Pero el cambio que comenzó el año pasado seguirá este año.
Marches taking place again this weekend in cities big and small. The Me Too movement, the Time's Up efforts, the increased number of women in elected positions, and our continued collective voices and shared stories speaking truth to power, demanding the dignity and worth of every human being, or every single person, be recognized, protected, and valued for who we are, where we are.
Las marchas que están teniendo lugar nuevamente este fin de semana en ciudades grandes y pequeñas, el movimiento Yo También, la campaña Se Acabó el Tiempo, los mayores números de mujeres elegidas para cargos y la continuidad de nuestras voces colectivas y nuestras historias compartidas, hablando la verdad al poder, exigiendo que la dignidad y el valor de cada persona individual se reconozcan, se protejan y se valore por quienes somos, en donde estemos.
Uplifting those voices, amplifying those voices, and electing those voices who share the same values is what will add power to the polls, and together we rise.
Animando esas voces, amplificando esas voces y eligiendo estas voces, quienes comparten estos mismos valores, es lo que aumentará el poder en las elecciones y juntos triunfaremos.
Thank you, Tylene. And remember, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Vi Lyles became the first African-American woman mayor. And remember, in Atlanta, Georgia, African-American Keisha Lance Bottoms won a special election for the mayor's office. Our next speaker is Jess Monterey. Jess is a paralegal and immigration rights activist who has lived in Tri-Cities since 2016. Prior to that, she worked in the immigration field in Bellevue, Washington, D.C., and rural Georgia. She has 2 daughters and plans to pursue a legal career.
1 year ago, millions of us marched and participated in what is said to be the largest single-day demonstration in U.S. recorded history. Hace un año, millones de nosotras participamos y marchamos en una demostración que se dice ser la más grande en la historia de los Estados Unidos. Good morning, Walla Walla. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you today at the second Women's March here. My name is Jess Monterey. I'm an immigration paralegal, and on my own time, I am an immigrants' rights activist, and my most important job of all, I'm a mom to 2 beautiful little girls. So now you know why I'm here. Buenos días, Walla Walla. Muchas gracias por la oportunidad de venir a hablar con ustedes esta mañana. Mi nombre es Jessica Monterey. Soy una asistente legal de inmigración y en mi tiempo libre, por decir, soy una activista de derechos de los inmigrantes y también soy mamá de 2 niñas hermosas. So ya saben por qué estoy aquí hoy día. I like to think this movement was born from resistance. We are rebels, but with causes. Women are standing up, speaking out, and many of us, myself included, are making attempts to run for office and lead our communities. I'm here today to talk to you about one of my main causes against this administration, and even others, immigrants' rights and protections. This I have determined is my crusade. Me gusta decir que este movimiento nació de la resistencia. Somos rebeldes, pero con causa. Las mujeres estamos de pie y estamos manifestándonos y muchas como yo hemos postulado candidaturas para puesto público y guiando a nuestras comunidades. Yo estoy aquí por una causa primaria que son los derechos de los inmigrantes y las protecciones de los inmigrantes. Esto he determinado que es mi cruzada. I have always been passionate about the work that I do. I truly appreciate and am fascinated by immigrant stories. And as the firstborn in the United States on both sides of my family, I know firsthand the contributions of immigrants to the U.S. At the core of those passions and fascinations is my passion for immigrant women and children, especially victims of violence. Siempre he sido muy apasionada del trabajo que yo hago y verdaderamente agradezco y soy fascinada por la historia inmigrante. Yo soy la primera nacida en los Estados Unidos de familias inmigrantes y sé de primera mano cuáles son las contribuciones que dan los inmigrantes a los Estados Unidos. Una de los casos fundamentales de mi pasión se viene de las mujeres inmigrantes, los niños y especialmente la víctima de la violencia. Immigrants are already a vulnerable community. Imagine leaving everything you know and traveling to a new country. Learning a new language, adjusting to a new culture. This is something that not even I, in all of my work and side work and familiar understanding, could ever grasp in its full extent. This is my country. I speak the language. I am the culture. And in every sense of the word, I am American. Now let's imagine those obstacles and then add being subjected to violence in your home as an undocumented person or as a person who resides in a community that you know is being targeted. Where do you go? Inmigrantes ya son una comunidad muy vulnerable. Imagínense tener que dejar todo lo que se conoce, viajar a un nuevo país, aprender un nuevo idioma, ajustarse a una nueva cultura. Eso es algo que ni siquiera yo, con todo mi entendimiento, puedo comprender en total. Este es mi país, yo hablo el idioma y, en fin, yo soy americana. Ahora imaginémonos para las personas que vienen aquí indocumentadas y que son víctimas de la violencia, ¿para dónde van? Con miedo de que puedan terminar en manos de inmigración o personas que viven en comunidades que verdaderamente se están dirigiendo a ellos. ¿Para dónde van? ¿A quién pueden buscar? The sort of immigration policies that not my President Trump is enforcing affect communities and families in many ways. Mixed citizenship families like the family of Jorge, the man deported from Michigan earlier this week, are often left struggling financially and emotionally. Comunidades de estatus migratorio combinado, como la familia de Jorge, quien fue deportado esta semana de Michigan, muchas veces terminan en aprietos económicos y emocionales. Last year, slightly over a month after the first Women's March, Ms. Gonzalez, a transgender woman, was in a Texas courthouse on a matter involving a restraining order from her abusive partner. Shortly after the hearing, as she exited the courtroom, she was arrested by ICE. Ever since Not My President Trump came into office, immigration crackdowns are on the rise. Anti-immigrant sentiment is prominent. Even if it existed before, you definitely know it now. El año pasado, casi un mes después de la primera marcha de las mujeres, la señora González, una señora transgénera, fue arrestada en una corte de Texas después de haber solicitado una orden de restricción en contra de su expareja abusiva. Desde que entró mi presidente Trump a la oficina, las medidas en contra de los inmigrantes se presentan más y más. El sentido antimigratorio es prominente. Aunque existía antes, ahora es más obvio. Last summer, the Washington Post reported that many women were afraid of reporting domestic violence incidents. They shared the story of Maria, who was manipulated into giving up custody of her daughter over fear of being picked up by ICE. The Post reported another story of a woman from a predominantly Muslim community who could not report abuse because of the Islamophobic responses that she would get. Things like, you shouldn't have married a Muslim man. Let's not forget our battle for our dreamers, Americans born on the wrong side of the border, and Americans who know no other life but the life they have here. I'm here today to share with you my resistance, my personal agenda against this administration, and my fight for comprehensive common sense reform. I wish I had more time to talk to you about all the ways this administration hurts the immigrant community, and all the ways the immigrant community contributes to our communities. But today is a demonstration, not a lecture. However, I hope that you will remember this fight and join me in it. It may not be your resistance, and that's okay. We're all a bigger part of a puzzle, and every one of us is important. But just like a jigsaw puzzle, we need each other to make this work. El verano pasado, el Washington Post reportó de que muchas mujeres tenían miedo de decir de que eran víctimas de violencia doméstica. Compartieron la historia de María, alguien que le tocó dar la custodia de su hija a su ex esposo abusivo por el hecho que tenía miedo que inmigración viniera por ella. También compartieron la historia de una señora en una comunidad de personas musulmanes que no pudo reportar el abuso porque le decían cosas como ¿por qué te casaste con un señor musulmán? Y que no se nos olvide nuestra batalla por nuestros dreamers, americanos que nacieron en el otro lado de la frontera y americanos que no conocen nada más que la vida que tienen aquí. Estoy aquí para compartir mi resistencia, mi agenda personal en contra de esta administración y mi pelea por reforma migratoria. Me gustaría tener el tiempo de decirle de todas las maneras que esta administración hiere a la comunidad de inmigrante y también de cómo la comunidad inmigrante contribuye a nuestro país. Pero hoy es una demostración, no una lectura. Pero quiero que sepan de mi pelea y que me ayuden en ella, porque esa quizás no es su resistencia. Y está bien, pero somos parte de un rompecabezas. Y así como en un rompecabezas nos necesitamos el uno del otro para poder funcionar. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your rebellion and your resistance. The future is female. El futuro le pertenece a las mujeres.
Thank you, Jess. And remember, in Aurora, Colorado, 23-year-old Crystal Murillo was the first elected Hispanic woman on the city council. According to the Center for American Women in Politics, across the nation, 79 women representing multiple parties are either planning or seriously considering running for governor. We are very fortunate in Washington State to be represented in the U.S. Senate by two strong women. And we are pleased to be able to share their comments with you today. Senator Cantwell writes, "Dear friends, in 1920, women marched for the right to vote and won. Last year, we continued this legacy by launching the biggest single-day protest in U.S. history. Now, 98 years later, we are united in a resistance against draconian cuts to social programs and attacks on our environment and public lands, in holding unqualified nominees accountable, and in fighting attempts to move our country backward. You are running for office. You are engaging your elected leaders. You are rushing to aid your communities with solutions you developed. Your efforts are working. Together we are fighting to shatter glass ceilings, to ensure equal pay for equal work, to make parental leave a right in our country, and so much more. Together we are going to really see what women can achieve in our neighborhoods, at the ballot box, and in public office. Today we march to inspire everyone to continue the fight, here in the United States and throughout the world, to raise up women's voices, make our communities more inclusive, and harness our political power. The strength of our resistance rests in our diversity and our ability to carry each other through difficult challenges. And today we march to remind ourselves of the strength we exert when we work together. Let our determination and unity be the shield that protects and inspires women everywhere. Over the past year, I have been inspired by you and your fierce advocacy. We know that the path ahead will not be easy, but we have each other. Your support, your commitment to justice and equality, your tears and your toil will move this country forward toward a society that values all of its people. Thank you for being here today. In solidarity, Maria. So remember, in our own state of Washington, Jenny Durkin was elected mayor of Seattle, along with new women mayors in Everett, Linwood, Kent, and Vancouver. And remember, Monka Dingra was elected to the Washington State Legislature from the 45th District in one of the highest profile contests in the nation. And Senator Murray writes, in the years since last year's inaugural, every day has created chaos and dysfunction, attacking and bullying people, tearing our country apart, lurching us into crisis, baiting us into controversy, and doing everything to make the vision of American carnage a reality. We have seen taxes for the rich cut while jeopardizing Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. We've seen health care and sabotaged and increased premiums for millions of families. We've seen women and their health care attacked at every opportunity. We've seen immigrants and refugees, including dreamers and children and families fleeing terrible violence and terrorism, imperiled. We've seen protections rolled back for workers, for families, for students, and the environment in order to enrich billionaires and the biggest corporations. And we've seen a cabinet filled with billionaires and special interests. But here's the good news. Just one day after that inauguration, millions of people turned out for women's marches across the country and made clear that they were going to do everything in their power to stop this backward agenda. It was a message that resonated not just in our nation's capital, but in cities and towns across Washington state. Hundreds and thousands of you stood up in Seattle and Spokane, in Wenatchee, and in Walla Walla. You packed the streets in Vancouver and raised your voices in Bellingham. In Twisp, a town of fewer than 1,000, nearly 800 people gathered to send a clear message that plans to divide us will not stand. The torch of energy that so many of you carried from those marches has helped push me through some of our toughest battles this past year and has been such a critical factor in the resistance so far. 1 year later, that energy is more powerful than ever. A record number of women are running for office, and people are coming off the sidelines to get involved, talking to their friends and neighbors about politics, policy, and what we can do to get our country back on track. So to all of you who have fought so hard to defend our democracy, for every letter, every email, every call, every postcard, every workshop and meeting, thank you for an impactful year of organizing, advocacy, and resistance. I pledge to keep fighting as hard as I can and to work with anyone from any party who is willing to stand with me to restore respect and get results. You have been an inspiration to so many and know that you have always had a partner in me. Your work, your advocacy, your passion, that is what democracy looks like. That is what will help us move back in the right direction. And that is what I want kids growing up to see and to be inspired by. So stay engaged and let's continue to push the envelope for our children, our families, and our communities in 2018 and beyond. Together, I know we'll make it. Love, Patty. I also want to recognize and thank all the women and minority candidates from our region who have had the courage to step up and make a difference. I know that at least one of these brave folks, Lisa Brown, is here with us today. So, men and women, all of you, please raise your hand if you are running or have ever run for public office. Let's see your hands. Thank you. And remember, in Washington State in 2017, 4 Emerge America trainees were elected to city council offices and 3 were elected to school boards. And right here in Walla Walla, we celebrate the election of Yasmin Bayena to our city council. Our final speaker this morning is Kandice Kelly. Kandice is a sexual assault advocate with the Walla Walla YWCA. She's been a family advocate for the past 6 years, first as a foster parent in Seattle, and now as a CASA here in Walla Walla. Please welcome Kandice.
Good morning. My name is Kandice Kelly. I'm a sexual assault advocate at the YWCA. I want to take just a second and say, you are a spectacular looking crowd. I'm going to be fast so you can get moving. At the YWCA, we've just celebrated our 100th year of empowering the women of Walla Walla and the surrounding area. Nationally, it's been an eventful year for survivors of sexual assault and sexual harassment. Women have had enough. They're finding their voices and they're telling their stories. Women are shining a light on something that too easily thrives in the dark of secrecy and shame.
Buenos días, me llamo Kandice Kelly y soy defensora del YWCA para víctimas de ataques sexuales. En el YWCA acabamos de celebrar 100 años de fortalecer a las mujeres de Walla Walla y las zonas circundantes. En el ámbito nacional ha sido un año lleno de acontecimientos para los sobrevivientes de ataques sexuales y acoso sexual. Las mujeres están exclamando, basta, no más. Están encontrando su voz y contando su historia. Las mujeres están arrojando una luz sobre algo que prospera demasiado fácil en la oscuridad del secreto y la vergüenza.
Here at the YWCA, we continue to help these women in many ways, but now we're asking for your help. Don't let sexual assault and sexual harassment become a secret that dwells in the dark again. Help us keep shining a light on it. And you can do that simply by believing women.
Aquí en el YWCA continuamos ayudando a estas mujeres de muchas maneras, pero ahora le estamos pidiendo su ayuda. No permitan que el acoso sexual y los ataques sexuales se conviertan en un secreto que viva en la oscuridad nuevamente. Ayúdenos a seguir arrojando una luz sobre estos. Lo pueden hacer tan sencillamente como al creerle a las mujeres.
When a woman comes forward to tell you her story, believe her.
Believe her. Everyone together, believe her. Cuando una mujer dé un paso al frente y cuente su historia, créanle, créanle.
When an old friend tells you about something that happened years ago, believe her.
Believe her. Cuando una vieja amiga les cuente algo que sucedió hace años, créanle. Créanle.
When a current coworker tells you about something that's happening right now, believe her.
Cuando una compañera de trabajo actual les cuente sobre algo que está sucediendo ahorita mismo, créanle. Créanle.
When one young woman tells you about something that happened last weekend on a college campus, believe her.
Cuando una jovencita les cuente sobre algo que sucedió el fin de semana pasado en un campus universitario, créanle.
When your sister tells you about something that happened to her last year, believe her.
Cuando su hermana les cuente de algo que sucedió el año pasado, créanle.
This has been an empowering year for many survivors, but this is only the first step. These are the women telling about their past. Our hope is to change the future. Our goal is to stop sexual assault and sexual harassment before it happens. We want to change the narrative by changing the culture that allows women to be treated badly in the first place. We don't want another mother, another sister, another daughter to live through the pain of the experience of being harassed or assaulted.
Este ha sido un año fortalecedor para muchos sobrevivientes, pero estos no solo son los primeros pasos. Estas son mujeres que están hablando sobre su pasado. Nuestra esperanza es cambiar el futuro. Nuestro objetivo es detener el acoso sexual y los ataques sexuales antes de que ocurran. Queremos cambiar la narrativa al cambiar la cultura que permite, en primer lugar, que las mujeres sean maltratadas. No queremos que otra madre, que otra hermana, que otra hija tenga que pasar por el dolor de la experiencia de ser acosada o atacada.
Help us to keep the light shining bright so that all women feel safe to come forward and tell their stories. Help us stand with the women who have come forward and help us stand by the women who will come forward in the future. Loan them your strength and give them your support. Let's make it clear that we will not stand by quietly while women are being harassed and assaulted.
Ayúdenos a seguir arrojando una luz brillante, de modo que todas las mujeres se sientan seguras para dar un paso al frente y contar su historia. Ayúdenos al ponerse de pie junto a las mujeres que han dado un paso al frente y al ponerse de pie junto a las mujeres que darán un paso al frente en el futuro. Compártenles su fuerza y denles su apoyo. Dejemos en claro que no nos quedaremos callados mientras hay mujeres que están siendo acusadas y atacadas.
Thank you. Enjoy your march.
Okay, just a few reminders. Be careful. Watch out for and assist one another. We'll be marching on the right side of the street, so stay within the rolling barricade. You can post to Instagram or Twitter using Women's March on Walla Walla. That's hashtag Women's March on Walla Walla. For your safety, we have march marshals accompanying us today. They'll be identified by orange safety vests or bandanas. If you have any safety issues, please reach out to them. Thank and patronize our local businesses that have been so supportive. This Maple Counter, Bacon and Eggs, Sweetwater, Olive, Studio Opal, The Saint and the Sinner, Brasserie 4, Shop 11, 35th and Butter, the Colville Patisserie, Grateful Herbs Artisan Apothecary, Sky Gardens, Tea Macaronis and Press Salon, Sample and Cellars, and Contos. Hang on, guys, we can't go till the police escort is there, so hang tight for a second. Be sure to thank the First Congregational Church for the use of their facility, and our police escorts will keep us safe. Today, we continue an awakening of millions of women and men around our community, our state, our nation, and our world. We continue the hard work of securing human rights to ourselves and our posterity. When women get to work, amazing things happen. So greet a person you didn't know before today, and let's get to work being the change that we seek. Now, let's march.